We are live. Welcome to day 2 of the Thrive 2025 virtual conference. I am Coriel, the founder and executive director of For the Culture Foundation. Now, if you did not know, this entire experience is sponsored by, presented by, powered by For the Culture Foundation, who believes that in order to help the Black community, we got to figure out how to heal the Black family. And this is our stab at doing just that. We know that we cannot afford to sit around, sit on the sidelines, and wait for someone to come along and save ourselves. We got to figure out how we can save ourselves by learning how to sustain ourselves. And so the Thrive 2025 virtual conference focuses on the Black family, finances, and farming. And tonight's sessions are highly anticipated. Y'all have been blowing me up about land ownership and farming. And so I am so excited to get into this conversation. Now, as y'all know, we have 2 amazing sessions tonight, and this entire experience is completely free. Now, we are encouraging donations. If you have not had an opportunity to check out the mission for the Culture Foundation, I definitely encourage you and invite you to log on to thecurefortheculture.com. One of our most exciting initiatives for 2025 is our Sleepy Mom Project, which allows us the opportunity to send a stressed out mama on a free staycation every single month. And so if you would like to nominate yourself or a stressed out Atlanta mom that you happen to know, you can log on to thecurefortheculture.com to nominate yourself or someone else. And while you are there, go ahead and drop a donation. 100% of the donations we receive will be directly reinvested into the Black community through these staycations. Now, without further ado, I am going to go ahead and introduce our first speaker for tonight's conversation. We are getting into being the Lord of your land, and we are talking about the benefits of owning land and how we can truly use this land to start creating some generational wealth. And so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring up Jasmine Dudley, and I'll also share her social media so that you can be sure to follow her beyond Thrive 2025. Welcome, Jasmine.
Hello there, hello there, hello there. Thank you so very much for this warm invitation at the Thrive 2025 conference. Thank you so much for putting this together for our African American community. Listen, this is more than ever. We have to be equipped. We have to be in the know. We have to have knowledge about what we're doing and where we're going. And we're 24 hours into what's happening right now. And we're already seeing that, more than ever, we got to be equipped and ready for what's to come. Listen, my name is Jasmine Dudley. Some call me Coach Jasmine, some call me Pastor Jasmine, but you just call me Jay. I am originally from the Atlanta area, born and raised in Atlanta. I am a real Grady baby. But I have since relocated to the Dallas, Texas area. And so this is where my family and I have had the opportunity to get our hands into land ownership out here in this area. So talk to you guys a little bit about who I am. I am so sorry if the slide is looking a little funky on the screen. However, we're just going to kind of listen in and I'll try to go through as best as I can. But listen, I'm Coach Jasmine Dudley. I'm a wife, a mother. I'm also a pastor. We pastored a church out in the Atlanta area for a few years. Also an international business coach. And what that means is that I get the opportunity to go into other foreign countries and train their people to become entrepreneurs to stimulate their economy. Also a consultant in business strategy. I'm a speaker, obviously, an app developer. In 2020, I developed an app that went viral called Naomi's Connect, and it was an app that connected motherless daughters with mother figures in their community. It was a really cool app. We have since pulled it down to do more development because I was not ready for the infrastructure for so many coming in. But the most important thing that you need to know tonight is that I'm a real estate investor and a land specialist. And I just also recently took on the title of the Harvard Business School Dallas chapter organizer. I just finished a certification at the Harvard University out in Boston. So I'm really excited about that new role as well. But let's get into what's really important tonight, which is how to become the Lord of your land, the power of land ownership. And so I'm going to get ready to tell you guys our story about how we became landowners in 2023. It was the most craziest year of my life. I was coming out of some toxic situations and into a whole new life out here in Dallas, Texas. And honestly, I came from a family that didn't have much. I didn't come from a very wealthy family. And so a lot of my family, they were passing away. There was nothing to pass down to myself, my siblings, or my children. When our families passed away, we were those families doing fish fries and trying to raise money to bury our loved ones. And so, the most that most of them had, maybe some life insurance. But back in the day, guys, if you can remember that there were so many families that were able to pass down land from generation to generation. And what I found over the most recent years is that not a lot of families are able to do that anymore. Not a lot of families are able to pass down that level of generational wealth in the form of land. Now, land is something that we'll never get back. That's something that God is not creating any more of, right? Land is something that is very precious because it's only one of a kind. Once you buy it, it's yours, right? And listen, what's important for us to know is, again, God is not making any more land. And so it's very important and imperative that we become land owners. And so a little bit about our story. Back in 2023, I stumbled across some information, a listing about 20 acres of land. And I was only dreaming at that time. I was like, man, it would be so dope if I could own, my husband and I could own 20 acres of land. And he was like, well, how do we do it? Because in our mind, we thought it was going to cost us millions and millions of dollars to do it, because what we had researched and what was available to us was that it was going to cost millions and millions of dollars to own 20 acres of land, right? And so I began to do more research and learn about different parts of our country where there is still land available. And when I did that, I stumbled across these 20 acres that you see here on the screen. These are actual real pictures of our property out here in Texas, which is 20 acres. And so as I began to do research, I started to become in a relationship with real estate developers. And this is important for you to know, because at the end of my presentation, I'm going to show you just exactly how I got into land ownership. And I'm going to give you an invitation to do the very same thing. And so this is why this part of my story is important. So anyway, I meet these land developers and I understand what it is that they do. And I understood that this particular market was not necessarily an open market for African Americans. The reason why I say that is because I found out in this process that a lot of African Americans were no longer buying land. They were buying other things like purses and Jordans and all those other things that we were spending our money on. And the data proved it, and the data showed it, that we were no longer buying land, which is an appreciating asset. So anyway, we end up finalizing the transaction. We go through closing, we own the land, and we were just like, wow, that was too easy. And so for the next 6 months, I gave myself over into finding out more about how do we own land as African Americans. I was engulfed in it, guys. I was completely overtaken by information as far as how to become, how to get our people into more land ownership, because I'm looking at my grandparents, my great grandparents, and just family. I'm like, we don't have this, right? And so many of you may be finding yourself in that same situation. Like, yeah, I don't think I'm getting any land when mama passed away or when papa passed away or whatever. And I don't have anything to give down to my children. And that's something that we sought out to change. And so again, back in 2023, we acquired this land. I did some research, and here is some information that I found out. In 1920, African American farmers controlled approximately 14% of the nation's farmland, whereas today they control less than 1%. Did you hear me? That means back in 1920, just shy of over a little over 100 years ago. And for those of us that were born in like the 1980s, 1990s, we was like, man, that's 100 years ago. Yes, it's 100 years ago now. But African Americans owned about 14% of the farmland, whereas to now we only own less than 1%. And I don't know if that bothered you the way that it's bothering me, but I want to be one of those ones to make sure that we bring that change about in that area. So Black Americans owned around 14 million acres of land by 1910, which was considered the peak of Black land ownership in the United States. But y'all get this. By 2022, this was not that long ago. That's really not that long ago. Just 3 years ago now. But by 2022, that number dropped to 1.1 million acres, a 90% decline with a huge loss. I'm going to say huge, a huge loss of 326 billion in value. Let me break that down in our terms. What that means is there was $326 billion that the African American community lost as a collective. Now, I don't know what type of thoughts are running through your mind as you listen to these statistics, and I'm not sharing this to make you angry. I'm sharing it to motivate you to do something about it. I love what this foundation stands for as far as educating our community and healing our community so that we can go and make better choices for our community and stop handing ourselves over to those that oppose us. And I hope you read between the lines and what I'm saying with that. Let's talk about the disparity and the racism. For decades, Black families were denied loans and opportunities to purchase lands and homes in many areas. Redlining policies forced many of us into rent, and I'm gonna say us because I'm a part of that, into rental situations, preventing wealth building through property ownership. How many of you know that when you're renting, you're paying the mortgage of someone else? Now, I'm not fully against renting. I love, the fact that you can kind of move around and you can rent different places, but it was never meant to be a long-term situation. It was never meant for you to rent 20 and 30 years of your life. Why? Because at that point, you've paid off somebody else's mortgage and fat in their pockets. Now, I'm not against wealth building for anybody, but what I'm saying is this cannot continue to be our situation, right? And even beyond just, the rental properties, but we got to start owning properties, not just one property, but owning properties. Right. And so this created a massive wealth gap with our other families. I'll say that I'm more comfortable sometimes, especially when we're out here on social media. I'll say with other families, y'all can read what's on the screen, holding nearly 10 times the wealth of Black families on average. Y'all listen. That means we are so far, or we had become so far down on the totem pole. But listen, I believe that with what's happening right now and what this foundation is all about, we're about to get ready to see some changes. And we've already been seeing some changes here recently with Black wealth and a transfer of wealth and us becoming more educated. I'm really proud of the strides that we're making. However, I'm still not seeing a whole lot of people talk about this particular area, which is why I dug so deep to get more information about how do we fix this particular area, right? We're learning how to fix our credit. We're learning how to be cute. We're learning all of these great things. However, nobody's really talking about land ownership. We've even, been buying real estate. We've been buying homes and becoming first-time homeowners and all of this stuff. But there's still a sector that I'm not seeing many of us in. And I'm going to talk to you guys about that in just a moment as far as how I've inserted myself in as an open door for all of us. All right. So land was denied to us to keep us powerless. Okay. So back in the day, if you had land, you had power, and that was stripped away from our community. Some people in our community, they didn't just give up their land. The land was stolen from them, or there was so much strife that was in the family. That's why I love, again, what this foundation is for, healing the families. There was so much strife in families that even when land was passed down, because siblings couldn't get along, because auntie and uncles and them couldn't get along, that they end up losing the land that was rightfully theirs to pass down from generation to generation. And they knew that if they can keep us against one another, then we will lose everything that we had of value. Okay. And so now we have this opportunity to reclaim and rewrite the narrative for ourselves and our children. We start with one step, and that's to learn, which is what we're doing right now, prepare, which is what I'm going to get ready to help you do, and you're going to own, which is also what I'm going to help you do. All right. So because land ownership is not just about property, it's about freedom, and it's about power, and it's about building our communities for better. All right. And so why does land ownership matter? Why does land ownership matter? You guys stay with me, because I'm going to give you some really good information, and I'm actually going faster than I anticipated. So y'all stay with me to the end. So why does land ownership matter? It matters because of empowerment, legacy, and security. Reclaiming our power. Historically, land ownership was denied to Black communities as a way to suppress wealth and influence. Reclaiming land ownership is not just a personal victory. It is a step toward correcting systematic injustices and reclaiming power. And so, listen, we may not be enslaved by chains anymore, but some of us are still enslaved in our mentality. Some of us are still enslaved by the systems that are put in place that makes us think certain ways. I hope y'all understand what I'm saying. And so what I'm on a mission to do, and what I know this foundation is on a mission to do, is to help you debunk the lies that the system is making you think, and understand that there is a way for you to reclaim your power and reclaim your authority in the earth. Okay. And so it's all about reclaiming power. It's not just about, and I love, we pose for the Instagram, we pose for the IG, and I love that for us, right? I don't mind us posting that we got this new thing or we got this new car, but how about we post that, listen, I got 20 acres of land that for the next 100 years is going to be in my family. Let's post stuff like that. Like, that's a flex to me, y'all. Let's talk about legacy creation. Land is a lasting legacy. It's something that can be handed down through generations, ensuring that your name and contributions are remembered forever. I tell my family all the time, I want my great, great, great grandchildren to walk by a picture on a wall of me and say, man, Granny, thank you for what you did. Thank you for the sacrifice that you made. Thank you for making sure that we own our land. Thank you for making sure that we don't have to get into these high mortgages with these high interest rates because we own family land that we can be deeded to us. Thank you, Grandma. Thank you, Grandpa, for making sure that you made decisions 100 years ago to make sure that our family didn't have to struggle. That's the kind of legacy creation that I'm talking about. Because I'm not just thinking about my now, I'm thinking about them later. I'm thinking about my bloodline. We talk so much about building generational wealth, guys, but this is one of those avenues. Generational wealth is not just about the money that you make today, because sometimes this money is fleeting. The US dollar sometimes is fleeting. You have it today, it could be gone tomorrow. But when we create a legacy through assets like owning land, this can last for generations and generations and generations. And guess what? You can't go spend land in Walmart. You can't go spend land in a Louis store. You can't go spend land in Foot Locker, right? And I'm not against any of that. Don't hear what I'm not saying. But what I am saying is there are some things that we got to start doing, guys, that can make the next 100 years for the African American community be powerful. Let's also talk about the stability and the security. Owning land means you have a piece of the world that's yours. It offers stability for your family, eliminates the risk of displacement, and create a sense of security. Now, listen, let me just talk about that for a moment. That, just going back to even creating that generational wealth for our children's children, that when they come into the world, they're not struggling, and they're not looking for, what do I got to do next, or how do I gotta flip this dollar. Listen, I don't know about y'all, but I came into this world and it was already a struggle. For the last 30 years of my life, I've been trying to figure out, okay, like, how can I make another dollar? How can I do, just hustling hard for no reason, when it could have already been set up for us, right? And I'm not against what our families had to do. They did what they knew to do with the information that they had. But we are a new generation that have come into a wealth of knowledge that we are now responsible for. My grandmama used to say, when you know better, you do better. And so tonight we're going to know better, and we're going to know how to do better with our investments. And we're going to know how to do better with land ownership and our assets and what we value, right? All right. So I want to give you guys a few key terms when it comes to land ownership. Okay. And so I teach a lot of real estate classes out here quite often. Actually, I probably do about 4 real estate classes a year. And I always like to tell people, if you're going to become an investor in real estate, you always want to know what you're talking about. And so tonight, I'm going to give you a couple of definitions that you want to use when you're talking about acquiring land. Because when you get in certain rooms with people, you got to have the language for the room. You got to have the language to become an investor. And so I actually have a free download for you guys as well. And I'll share that link at the end of that, where you can go and download even more terms. I know you guys are like, this ain't school, Coach Jasmine. Listen, we got to be informed and we got to be educated. So I'm giving you definitions and I'm giving you land terms that you want to go and make sure they become a part of your everyday vocabulary. So when somebody says land acquisition, you know, land acquisition refers to the process of acquiring land for real estate purposes. When somebody's talking about zoning, you're not zoned out. You understand that those are regulations set by the local government to determine how a piece of land can be used. Is it residential? Is it commercial? Is it agricultural, right? Or when somebody talks about raw land, a lot of people I found never knew what raw land meant. Raw land is just simply undeveloped land without any utility structures or significant improvement. It's in its natural state, which means there is nobody has drilled for oil, nobody has drilled for water, nobody has put power lines out there. That's all that it means. It's literally in the same state that God created it, right? So that's what it means to have raw land. And that's the area that I specialize in. Okay. Now I have access to a lot of different properties that I want to have an opportunity to share with you guys. But a lot of the properties that I have access to, like my particular property, was raw land, which means now that we own it, my husband and I, now that we own it, we can say what goes. We can say what goes. It is going to eventually be put into a trust for my children, and we're going to let our children's children know in the trust that no clubs can be built on it, no nothing crazy can be built on it. As long as it's in our family's possession, we can build houses, we can stimulate the economy with it, but it can never be sold out of the family. If they're not in the bloodline, they can't buy it. If it's not a part of the purview for what we're studying right now, it can't happen. To make sure that on down the line that my I don't have a crazy great grandson that just want to sell off everything and then lose the family wealth. We're going to put it in a trust, and we're going to make sure that there are these restrictions that come along with that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent, but I want you to be in that mindset when you think about land acquisition, that you can buy land today and dictate what's going to happen to it for the next 100 years, to make sure that even when you're not here, that wealth is still accumulating through the last name of your family. All right, so let's talk about a couple of things that you can actually do with your land, okay? Some people are just like, okay, well, I'm gonna get all of this land and what I'm gonna do with it? You can absolutely do nothing with it. You put it in a trust, let the asset accrue equity, and then you can pull the equity out if you want to, just pass it on down. You can absolutely do nothing. I have sold properties to people that say, I don't want to do anything with it, Coach Jasmine. I just want to pass it down from generation to generation, and that's absolutely fine. But here's some other things that you can do with your land. This family compound thing is literally becoming a whole new thing now, and I love it. So for those of you that don't know, a family compound is when a family owns a large parcel of land, like large acres of land, and they're able to put multifamily houses, not multifamily, but multiple family homes on the property. You can do multifamily as well, but you can put 5 and 6, 4 bedroom, 2 bath homes on the property, and everybody has their own driveway, own street, and it's your own development. So I'm seeing a lot of people do family compounds, and the reason why I particularly love family compounds is if you get property today and you build your family house on it, when your son turns 18 or when your daughter turns 21, you don't have to kick them out and say go figure it out. You can kick them out to 2 acres of their own that's on the family compound, where they can go and build their own house, and they don't have to go through all of the red tape because of the color of their skin trying to get a mortgage. They don't have to go through redlining and systematic racism trying to get something because you've already done it for them. You can deed them their property when they turn 18. You can put it in your will that when they turn 25, they're now able to have 5 acres of this property that's in our family. And they're not able to sell it for the next 100 years, but they can live on it. They can farm it. They can do whatever they want on it, but they'll always have a place to come home to. Even if your children say, you know what, I plan on going, if you're in Georgia and you got kids that say, I want to go to New York, or I want to go to California, that's fine. Long as you always got a place to come home to. And while you're gone, if you want to rent it out, you can do that and make extra money, but you're giving them their very first investment by building a family compound. What else can you do? You can do lumber farming. I don't know if any guys have heard of the Emerson family. The Emerson family is a family that owns, I think, almost 3 million acres of land in America. And what do? They lumber farm. And all that is growing trees and cutting them down and selling it. Because you know that in America, we gotta have the lumber, the wood to build houses, to build cars, to have paper, to have money, all of this stuff that we need wood for and lumber for. It comes from these lumber companies. And so you literally can, even now, if you own land, grow trees and pay a family. Right. She said, I see all of these tree farms in Florida. Right. You can pay. And for those of you, let me say this, for those of you that have owned properties, and you may have had some trees in your backyard and you had to pay somebody to come and cut them down, you probably got scammed. And let me tell you why you probably got scammed. Because there are lumber companies that will come and pay you for your trees. They will come and pay you to cut down your trees and to take your trees away. They will give you cash money or a check, a company check, to cut down the trees because they need it. We need the lumber in America, right? And so the next time you need some trees cut down, before you pay somebody to do it, research a lumber company that will pay you to come and get your trees, because whether you know it or not, your lumber on your property is an asset. Don't ever let anybody just take it away from you. That is an asset. All right. And so thinking about owning your own land or owning more land, that is another aspect of business that you can get into, or just pay somebody else to do it. Pay somebody else to come and grow the trees and look after them. Or you can do it right now, because some trees take years to grow to be even, well enough or grown enough. I don't know the right word to say it, or mature enough to be cut down to use for lumber. So you plant trees today for your children in the next 25 years, so those trees can be used for profit for them. So they don't have to sell the land. They can use the trees on the property for profit. Other things you can do is retreat homes and cabins. You can build cabins on your property. Personal farming and gardening. Listen, with all of this talk, I just saw a TikTok. I think you posted a TikTok yesterday, or maybe the other day, I don't know when it was, about the red 40 or the red 3, whatever that chemical is that's causing cancer in animals, but they're trying to say it don't cause cancer in humans, which is the craziest thing, right? It's the craziest thing. But that whole red dye thing that they're putting in our foods. Like, listen, if we become our own personal farmers and gardeners, we don't have to worry about the food that they're trying to put in our bodies that's killing us before we even reach the age of 50. Right. And so we become like even our ancestors back in Africa, like they grow their own food. They cook their own food. They raise their own food. Like, we got to get back to that. I know it takes a lot, but we got to get back to that, or even creating jobs for people to be able to do that. Right. We all got an uncle that just won't do right. Listen, train him up. He can't go get a job or don't want to go get a job. Okay, well, I'm going to employ you to do our garden and to do our farming, so that we can make sure that our family eats well and live long and thrive. You can also do vacation rental on these properties. You can build a permanent home, or you can also lease to the government. Now, I know some people are like, how am I going to lease property to the government? Listen, there was a government contract that I learned about through a mutual colleague of mine and her client. And this particular client was leasing her property to the government, and they were paying her, I want to say, almost $10,000 a month for somebody to come on her property to farm or to raise bees, like the bumblebee, or not the bumblebees, but the honeybees or whatever they are. Literally paying her $10,000 for bees. just for bees. And she don't have to do nothing but collect her check every month for them to come and farm bees. So it's a lot of different government contracts that you can use for your property, and they will literally lease the property from you. You own it. The government will pay you rent to do that. Okay. So there's some things that you guys can think about when it comes to owning properties and what you can do with your properties. I have some people that bought properties with me out in Alabama, and they're planning to build retreat grounds. They're planning to build cabins. Those of you that may be a part of a church or a ministry, and you want a place where your ministry can go and take retreats instead of spending thousands and thousands of dollars somewhere else, you guys can build your own retreat ground and take all your youth, take all your women, take all your men to your very own retreat ground. So that's also something to think about. All right. Now, this is something that I want you to do, and I want you guys to listen very, very, very carefully for what I'm about to say. I got about 20 more minutes or so. So I want to try to get through this information as quickly as possible. All right. This is how to obtain land and how I'm going to help you do it. So listen, I wasn't just brought on to just holler and scream about you need to own land, but I'm actually not just the person with the information about the land. I'm also the plug for the land. So guys, remember I talked to you guys about those 6 months that I was just diving into research to find out more information. Well, I came across a real estate developer and his family who I highly regard now. They've become like family to me. They become like friends to me. And what they do is they own millions and millions of acres of land, and they formed a company to help people like you and me own land. And so I have partnered with them to help my people become land owners. Okay. And so again, not only do I have the information, I became the plug. And see, this is how we empower our community. When you get information, you go be the plug so that your people can come up. Okay. And so I became the plug for land. I'm not teaching you just about how to go to land auctions and to the land bank to go and get the land. And I know that there are plenty of people out here, especially on Instagram, teaching you how to do that. And I'm not knocking that. That's absolutely wonderful. If you have the time to go and do that and you want to go and do that, that's absolutely fine. But I got surefire land that's already available, that's been surveyed. The titles are clear right here in my inventory that I have access to every single day, that I'm willing to, that I've been able to help people close on their property. So I've helped people get land all over America with the process that I have in place. All right. So this is what you need to know. The properties that I have available are available either through cash or land financing. The methods, the land financing is the method and options available for purchasing land, including bank loans, seller financing, and land contracts. The way that we are able to get our people into land is through a process called seller financing and land contracts. So basically what that means for you is that for those of you that are, you're still up on the rise, and you're trying to build your credit up, and you're trying to, get your credit back right, you don't have to have credit to buy this kind of land. They will finance you without credit. So that means there's no credit check, absolutely no credit check to get these lots of land that I have available in my inventory. If you guys look on the screen, you can see that these are the states that we have available as of right now. Now, listen, when we talk about land ownership, I know, some people are in Atlanta, some people are all over the country watching this, but listen, you don't have to own land in your backyard. Okay. You don't have to own land in your backyard. Cause I know some people are going to be like, well, Coach Jasmine, I saw some land for sale down the street from me. Listen, get out of that mentality of thinking it has to be down the street or even in your state. I just want you guys to own some land somewhere. I don't care where it is. Own some land somewhere, because we got to put a dent in that less than 1% of us owning land. Absolutely no way. So we need to own land wherever we can get our hands on some land. Go buy it, go get it. Okay. And so again, what I do and what I'm able to do now is to help you close on your own property. And so what I've been able to do lately is I'll meet people on Zoom, and we'll go through all of these land listings that's available, and they'll pick the one that they most are intrigued by. And I literally walk you through the entire closing process on a phone call. Okay. And show how this works. What is the down payment? What's the interest rate? All of that. Listen, I've been able to get people into properties. There's the traditional side, which is 20% down. It's still not a credit check with 20% down. Then there's a program that they have for $9.99 down. So about $1,000 down, you're able to own land. Then there's another program for those that say, but I really can't do $9.99 down, but I can do $4.99 down. If you can do $4.99 down, or you can get with your family and get $4.99 down, we can get you financed to get into your own property. Okay. The moment that you put your down payment down, we submit the contract to underwriting and we go to closing. All that can happen within 48 hours, which means you can literally own land within 48 hours. Once you own the land, you're able to go and build on the land. You're whatever it is that you want to do. Of course, there's some properties that have restrictions and covenants. You want to make sure that you read those, but I provide those to you. But you're able to literally go and build on the property. Like some of the properties, they say, you can't build multiple houses on, because if it's only 1 acre, ideally you don't want to build 5 houses on 1 acre, because the county doesn't want that. And so it's just those type of stipulations that we'll go through, but that's not every property. Some property you can build 5 houses on. It just depends on the city and the state. Or if you don't want to do anything with it, that's totally fine. You just make your mortgage payments, and then you're able to keep moving, and you can put the properties in a land trust. And so these are the options that I have available literally at my disposal. I think I'm probably one of the only people out here right now that's able to offer this level of access to land without the hassle of trying to figure this out, trying to learn how to go and do this, trying to do all of this other extra stuff. Literally, if you got $4.99 and then the closing costs for these properties are $1.99, so if you got $6.98, you're able to own land today. Okay, today you can start building as soon as you sign your contract. Okay, here's some other things that I want you guys to be mindful of. If you purchase land, there are property taxes. Because I have a lot of people asking me, well, what other fees are associated with owning land? Property taxes. You're not going to get away from it. So there still are property taxes. But listen, some of these property taxes are so cheap, except for the one in California. I'm going to tell y'all now, that property in California, I think the property taxes are about $3,000 a year. But that's California, and that's understandable. But some of the other places, the property taxes are only like $2 an acre per year, not per month, per year. $2 a acre per year. And so you'll get billed for your property taxes at the end of the year. They'll just send you a bill for your property taxes. Okay. It's and then they'll also finance you up to 20 years. And so if you say, okay, this property, it's a little bit much for me, I want to be able to stretch out the payments. No prepayment penalty. No prepayment penalty. You can stretch out the mortgage for 20 years if you want to, and just pay on the land. But again, you don't have to wait to pay off the land to start using the land. You can start building as soon as your contract is signed. Okay. And so this is what I mean that I became the plug, because I'm able to write the contracts for you. I'm able to get the financing for you. I'm able to help you find the property that you want to find. So there's no more excuses as, well, I don't know how to do it. I don't know what to do. I'm presenting myself in the community today as, listen, I am the person that's going to help you do it. I'm going to teach you. I'm going to prepare you. And I'm going to walk you right into ownership, as I said earlier in the presentation. So how do I do that, Jasmine? How do I get in contact with you? How do I get access to this land? What do I need to do next? This is what I need you guys to do. I need you to take out your cell phone. Some of you probably are watching by your cell phone, but this is what I need you to do. I need you to text my phone. Text my phone. This is my business line, 469-406-1943. And this is what you're going to say, so I'll know who I'm talking to. You're going to say, hey, Coach Jasmine, this is whatever your name is. This is Shirley. Okay. My email address is whatever your email address is. And you're going to say, send me land deals. What I'm going to do when I get off tonight, or whenever you guys may watch this by replay, I'm going to add you into my Rolodex. And then I'm going to send you an email to let you know, okay, hey, this is the next process. The next process, once you text me and say, I'm interested in purchasing land, I got my down payment, I just want to search for some land. The next thing you're going to do is we're going to schedule a call. You're going to get on my calendar and schedule a call with me. I don't charge for this, guys. I do not charge for this. So this is like one of the best times to get in, because I'm not going to charge you for it. You get on a Zoom call with me, and I'm going to sit with you and walk you through how to buy the land, finding the property that you want to buy. And I'm going to walk you through every single process for free. I'm not charging you for it. Okay. And so you want, long as you're serious, the only thing I ask is that you guys are serious. Because listen, I do have a family, I do have children. And so when you schedule an appointment, I'm taking the time away from my family. And so I want you to make sure that you're serious. And I will walk you through the process of learning how to own land. I will walk you through finding the land, and I will walk you through the financing, through the contract, and through the closing. And once you do that, I have a free group. Still no money is coming out of your pocket to me. You got to pay your mortgage though. You're going to go into my free group. And in that free group, we're just talking about homesteading. We're talking about farming. We're talking about all these different cool things that you can do with your land. And so we're talking about tiny houses. We talk about construction. We talk about a lot of different things in that particular group. And you get access to that group. Again, that's free. Once you become a landowner, you get access to that group for absolutely free. So again, all you're going to do is text me at 469-406-1943. You're going to say, hey, Coach Jasmine, this is whatever your name is. My email address is whatever your email address is. Send me land deals. And once you text me, I'll be able to put you in my Rolodex, and I'll reach out to you and let you know what the next steps are. All right. So listen, I think I have about made my time. I may be a little bit earlier than my time. I'm so proud of myself because I normally go over. So again, thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching the broadcast on tonight. Again, my name is Coach Jasmine Dudley. Again, I'm from the Atlanta area, but I'm here in the Dallas, Texas area. And so if you want to follow me on all social media outlets, it is at Jasmine Dudley Official on TikTok, Instagram. You can find me on Facebook as well. Again, that number is 469-406-1943. Again, thank you so much for the opportunity to present to your audience. And I'm looking forward to the more work that we get to do together. God bless.
Thank you so much. Y'all, make sure you go on over to all the social platforms and follow Coach Jasmine. That was such great information. I don't know about y'all, but I was over here taking screenshots, taking notes. I got so many ideas for other ways that we can leverage this land that I had not even thought about. So shout out to you for that great information. My challenge to you all, though, is to not just be selfish with these resources. Take this information and make sure you are paying it forward. We are going to move right into session 2 at 8 p.m. So before we take a brief intermission, I have to remind those of you all who are just joining us that Thrive 2025 is powered by For the Culture Foundation. We are on a mission to help the Black community by healing the Black family, and we are starting with stressed out mamas. So if you or a mama you know happens to be living right here in ATL and could use a night of uninterrupted sleep, nominate her or yourself to win a free staycation. Every single month, we are sending a stressed out mama on a staycation. She's also going to receive dinner delivered directly to her door, along with a 1-hour massage. So click the link in our bio at the Cure for the Culture on Instagram, or log on to thecurefortheculture.com to learn more about our mission. You can also log on to thecurefortheculture.com to nominate yourself or someone else. We are going to keep Thrive 2025 moving with our session on building a budget-friendly farm. So I will see y'all back at 8 p.m. in 17 minutes. We are back, ready to roll right into session two. It is day two of the Thrive 2025 virtual conference powered by For the Culture Foundation. This conference is all about rebuilding our foundation of the Black family, focusing on finances as well as creating sustainability through farming. Now, when I started talking about Thrive 2025 all on social media, sharing with my email list, and even just sharing personally, like in my group chat, this is one of the sessions that people were most excited about. If you have ever secretly joined one of those homesteading groups, even though you don't know how you could really sustain yourself, this is a conversation that I truly think you are going to enjoy. We are about to meet Miss Adria, who is the CEO and founder of EcoSlay. So she got her journey, or her journey began, I should say, with homemade products crafted for her own naturally curly hair, a personal quest that grew into a beloved brand, which is called EcoSlay. And tonight we are going to discover how to turn your backyard into a thriving family farm without breaking the bank, which is so important for those of us who are balling on a budget. So, without further ado, please help me welcome Mrs. Adria Marshall.
Hey, you guys. I am Adria Marshall. Is everybody able to hear me okay?
You
Let me
are
know.
perfect.
Perfect. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I am so excited to talk to you guys a little bit about how you can, as you say, ball on a budget with you and your family where your garden is concerned. And so, because we are talking about family gardening, I have my daughter Alex here, and Alex, say hello to everybody.
Hi.
And Alice is my partner in crime when it comes to the garden. So I have a lot of things here that I want to show you all. So she's going to help be my sous chef of sorts and pass things to me so I can make this as engaging as possible and let you guys know all my tips on how to grow a fantastic garden on a budget. All right, we can go to the next slide, or should I drive? Wonderful. So my name is Adria Marshall. I am a mother. I am a gardener. I am a partner, and I am the CEO of EcoSlay. And what EcoSlay is a plant-based farm-to-pouch hair care brand. And when I say farm to pouch, what I mean is that we actually are in the process of working with Chattahoochee Hills Charter School to grow the ingredients that we use inside of our products. So that's how much we care about making sure that when we say that you're getting okra inside of your gel, which is great for slip and for detangling, that you're actually getting okra inside of your gel. And the way that we ensure that is by partnering with local farms to support our farming community here in the Atlanta area to make sure that you all get the best quality products. More about EcoSlay. EcoSlay is a multi-million-dollar company that I founded a few years ago. I founded EcoSlay because of the lack of really great products with fantastic ingredients on the market for our hair. So that was really important to me to make sure that the best quality ingredients were going inside of my products. So I formed the brand, I launched the product, it went viral, and the rest is history. So it was fantastic when I got the opportunity a couple of years ago to actually work with a farm to make sure that we can grow the ingredients that are inside of our products. Okay, you can go to the next slide. So what we're going to talk about, yes, this is one of my favorite quotes. And I think this applies not only to gardening, not only to business, not only to finance, but this applies to life. Life is really simple, but we must insist on making it complicated. When you get down to the nuts and bolts of things, it's really easy. And we managed to, I think, make our spirituality more complicated than it has to be, make what we eat more complicated than we have to be, make our hobbies and our me time more complicated than it has to be, and making gardening more complicated than it has to be. And so that's what I'm excited to do with you guys here today, is how to show you how to make gardening really, really simple and easy on the pockets and a lot of fun, something that you can enjoy with your family. Next slide, please. All right, so we're going to get into it. I have a ton to cover. We are going to talk about how to grow on a budget from beginning to end. Are you engaged?
Yes, I'm engaged.
Okay, great. We're going to learn how to grow from how to garden from beginning to end on a budget, from starting your seeds, fertilizing, the actual growing phase, to storing and protecting your crops, and then we'll leave a little time for Q&A at the very end. Okay, go to the next slide, please. All right, hope you guys can see this. I'm gonna blow this up on my phone so that I can see it as well. So what I've done is I've broken down, I'm making this as easy as possible for you guys. So while I'm talking, I would love for you to pop in the comments if you've tried gardening before, if you find gardening to be too expensive, if you find it to be overly complicated. I would love to hear what you guys have to say so that we can answer any of these questions for you all, so you can learn how to make it as simple and as easy as possible. Now, I will say that there is quite a bit of trial and error with gardening. You agree?
Yes.
There are some things that we try to grow that just would not grow, but there are some things I'm scared my crops. Do not be scared. So this is a trick of the devil. Do not be scared that your crops will die. The only way you are going to learn how to grow something is to try, correct? So you have to take the plunge. And what I'll do too is I'll talk to you about some crops that are super easy to grow, and there's some you may want to lay off. But from the jump, I'll tell you tomatoes. Tomatoes are one of the easiest crops to grow, especially here in Georgia, but almost anywhere around the world. Tomatoes are super easy to grow. So we're gonna talk more about it. Okay, so I have broken up each of these categories that we're gonna talk about today into bougie and budgeting, so that you'll know if you have a little extra dollars to spend, what you could do. But a lot of time you can do the exact same thing just as well, if not better, on a budget, right? And it's a lot of fun, right?
It really is.
It's a lot of fun. Okay, cool. All right. So when you're going to get your seeds, you can buy seeds. And just so you know, buying tomato seeds is a lot cheaper than buying an actual tomato. I can get an entire pack of seeds for the same price that I would spend on a single tomato, so you guys know that. But if you're bougie, you can buy your seeds. If you're balling on a budget, you can save your seeds from the previous season. And why I love doing this, especially if you have a plant that's done especially well the previous season, why would you go out and buy seeds from some plant that you don't know is even gonna grow for you? If you have a tomato plant that's done especially well, save that plant, and I'm going to show you how you can scoop out these seeds, dry them, and save them for the next season. That way you know that next season you're going to get the same quality, delicious tomato that you had last season. It's just a smart thing to do, the delicious thing to do, but also the budget-friendly thing to do. Yes?
Yeah.
Right. Next thing. So Alex actually made this for you guys.
Yeah.
So simple. So you can buy pots to plant your seeds in, which can get expensive over time. Or you can take newspaper or mailers from Kroger and create pots here. And these are fantastic, because what you do is once you plant your plant inside of here, you can put the entire little pot in the ground, and the paper just breaks apart. And that's really important because some plants don't like for you to lift them out of the pot and put them into the soil. They don't like to be disturbed. But when you can create something like this, or you can purchase a biodegradable pot, it's great because you're not disturbing the roots. So this is fantastic. It took you, what, a minute to make? Like 2 minutes to make, and it's so simple. And since we're talking about gardening with your family, this is a great craft for you to make with your kids as you're preparing to start your seeds. So let me know if you guys have ever done any crafts with your kids. Even if it's not related to gardening, I love to hear what they are, but especially related to gardening, let me know which types of crafts you've done. Another thing that you can do, which is fantastic, is your egg carton. So egg cartons are fantastic for the same reason that they break down in the soil. And so you can start your seeds in egg cartons, and eggs are expensive these days. These eggs were $5. So why not get some use out of these cartons? So you can start your seeds in these, then you just tear them apart, and then you plant the plant into the ground. So you can avoid buying your seed trays and your starter pots. Okay, another thing. Here we go. So I love these cute little tools. Where's my little poker, Alex?
I don't know.
I love this little green little poker. But anyhow, I love these little tools. These are fantastic for after you start your seeds, and after the seedlings start to grow, for you to scoop them out. They're a really great size. But what works just as well as these is just a spoon. And you'll see many, if you watch gardeners on YouTube, you'll see them use a spoon even before they get a shovel, because the rounded edge of a spoon gets scooped right up in there and will not damage the roots. A companion to this is I don't know where it is, but it's just a poker that you use to create the hole in the soil. You see it? A poker that you use to create the hole in the soil for you to drop your seeds in. So this is fancy too, but you do not need either one of these. Alex will tell you, when we were starting our seeds this weekend, we used a Sharpie for each one of these. And I love to use a chopstick instead of something like this to put the seeds into each one, because you can carefully, because some of these seeds are tiny.
Yes, they're really
super tiny. So you can use a chopstick to pick up the seed and to place it exactly where you want to go. A lot more efficient than something like this. Okay, let's talk about it. Also, when you are marking your seeds, you'll often need something like this, so that you know which variety you are actually planting. But when you're gardening on a budget, and we did use these over the weekend, a popsicle stick works just as well. And it breaks down in the soil, which I love also. So popsicle stick versus a fancy gardening stake. They work the same. All right. Now, let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Here we go. Heat mat. So many gardeners will tell you that your plant, and I have found this to be true too, that your seeds will germinate a lot faster with heat. I have tried to start the same seeds with and without a heat mat and got a much better germination than a heat mat. The great thing about a heat mat is that once you buy them, they last for years. But they're not the most cost efficient. But what I found out that works just as good as a heat mat, and we had to use these last time when we ran out of heat mats, is a heating pad. You put your heating pad on low, it serves the exact same purpose as a heat mat. So fantastic dude. And then the last one that I want to talk about as far as starting your seeds are grow lights. So seedlings need a lot of light when they're growing. They use up a lot of energy. So it's great to have a grow light, if you have one, over your plants for about 12 to 16 hours a day. But these can also be costly. So a great hack for that is a regular LED bulb. And they say that you need about 25 to 50 watts per square foot. And what you do is you put aluminum foil underneath your plant with a bulb on top, and that helps to reflect the light so your plant gets enough energy. So another fantastic hat. What do you think, Alex? Very good. Let me know in the comments if you guys have any questions so far about any of the things that we've talked about, and we're going to move on to the next slide. Okay, so let's talk about fertilizing. Fertilizer is extremely expensive, but there are a lot of, oh, thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Fertilizer is very expensive, but it's necessary for you to feed your plants if you want to get the best fruit possible, right?
Yes.
Right. Just like you need to feed yourself if you want your hair to grow and you want your bones to be strong and you want to flourish. Your plants need nourishment too. So here's some fertilizer that I purchased, and it cost me a pretty penny. It's fantastic. But there are some cost-efficient fertilizers that I use instead of this fertilizer that you can use too. And they are some great ones. All right, so first of all, I save my coffee grounds. Coffee grounds are excellent fertilizer. So you can take your coffee grounds and sprinkle them on your plants, and it gives them a lot of nutrients. You can also boil your coffee and let it cool because you don't want to burn your plants, but you can put the coffee water and fertilize your plants that way as well. Also, bananas are excellent for your plants too. Yes. So after you eat your banana, save the peel. You can boil them in water, let it cool, and pour that as a tea on your plants as well. Also, what's great is you can pop the peel in the oven and let it dry out and dehydrate, and then crush it, and then you sprinkle it on your plants. Did you know that? Another great thing you can do is that these expensive eggs, after you finish using them, save the shells, grind up the shells, and those are great. So each one of I can't remember which nutrients each one gives your plants, but one gives calcium, one gives extra calcium, one gives potassium, and another one gives something else. But each one,
bananas or potassium.
Probably bananas or potassium. So each one gives your plants certain nutrients that they need to grow. Another trick that I like to do is when you are creating vegetables for your family and you're boiling your vegetables, save the water. Save the water, let it cool from your spinach, your Brussels sprouts, your onions, whatever else you are boiling. Save the water, let it cool, and it's fantastic nutrients for your plants. Oh, those great tips.
Yeah.
Yes, really good tips. Now, let's talk about composting, because I do like to compost. I know a lot of people are afraid of composting, but it is really, really simple. So what we do is we have a little trash can under our sink that's just for food scraps. So we save our coffee, we save our bananas, our peaches, our plums, our avocado, eggshells, all those things. And about once a week, we'll take it out to the yard. And outside, what we have, I'm going to bring over here. And what we have is just a Rubbermaid bin. I'm sure you guys have these all over the house. And we poke holes in the bottom of it. And that's to allow the worms to crawl up inside of it, because the worms, they do a good job at helping the food break down. And we just throw our food scraps in there, and we just store it. And then when it's time, and you're supposed to let it sit for 3 to 6 months, it does not stink. You put leaves on top of it, and it masks the smell. Shake it once or twice, super easy. But then when it's time for you to plant your seedlings into the ground, you would have put some of this compost into your garden beds, and you have an amazing fertilizer for your plants at zero cost. So many ways, and it's so good for the plants too, because even your fertilizer, you have to really analyze all the ingredients and make sure that it's top notch, but you know that your banana peels are good, that your onions are good, right? That your eggshells are good, and your coffee is good. So it's making sure that you get the best possible nutrients for your plants. You agree?
Yeah.
Let me see if there's any tips that I missed. Okay, we're good. We can go to the next slide. Growing. All right. Fantastic tips here. So after your tomatoes start growing, they're going to get super tall, right, Alex? They're going to get really tall. And what you can do, I did not bring one with me, but you can buy the big tomato stakes, right? Go on Amazon, buy the big tomato stakes. Those can get costly over time. Or you can go to Lowe's and get a furring strip. Is that what it's called? A furring strip. Furring strips cost $1.80 at Lowe's. $1.80 at Lowe's. You can reuse them. They have a little spike at the end, and then you use twine. So you line up your furring strips and you string your twine, and then you weave your plants in between them, and they'll grow and they'll be supported so they will not fall over, so you won't lose a lot of fruit like we ended up losing last year. Yes. Because they are a lot more sturdy with the twine than even the tomato stakes and the tomato cages are. So that is a fantastic hack. Another hack that I love is raised beds. So raised beds, if you go to purchase a raised bed, they can be super expensive. I think I paid $100 for a raised bed before. Super expensive. But what I found out by doing this research for this presentation is that you can very easily use a pallet to create a raised bed. And you guys, I have put the links at the end of this presentation for all of these things that you'll be able to see. But this video on how to use a regular pallet to create a raised bed was amazing. So at absolutely zero cost, you can drive around town and see pallets that people are throwing away all the time. What do you think? Yeah. Okay. This is my absolute favorite. So I have a green stalk, and what a green stalk is, can you go to the next slide really quickly, and then we'll come back here. There you are. So a green stalk on the left. I got a green stalk for Mother's Day last year as a gift because I've been wanting to buy one. It was too expensive. I wasn't going to do it for myself, so I got my partner to give me one. A green stalk will set you back almost $200. But do you know that you can go to the Dollar Tree and they sell those pots right there, those group of 3 for $1. I think $1.50 now since they've gone up in price. And then you just stack them up, and then you can create yourself a green stalk in $10 or $15. It's crazy. And then while I was at the Dollar Tree looking for some of these things to show you guys today, they have an entire gardening section with all of these tools there for under $1 also. So super, super easy. Okay, go back to the previous slide for me, please. Okay, great. Another great hack. So here is my fancy professional spray pump that I use to walk around my house and water my plants. I love it. You do not need it. And I just recently got this. You can very easily use it. I've used this for years. The same spray bottle that you use to clean things that you were going to throw away can be cleaned out and repurposed for your plants. Super easy. So do not think that you have to go and buy a special tool just for gardening, a special sprayer. You just crank down this nozzle and get the little stream going. That is all that you need. There is literally no barrier for entry when it comes to gardening. Yeah. Okay. Got it. This last one is one of my favorites when it comes to growing, and we did this last year. Soil can be really expensive. If you go to Home Depot or Lowe's, your Ace Hardware, you'll find the bag of soil will cost you $18. And when you add that up over time, it can be really expensive, especially when you have those fantastic garden beds that you put together. It can be really, really expensive. But a pro tip, fantastic hack that I learned about is that you can call your local landscaping company and ask them to deliver soil to your house. So much cheaper. It'll be all the soil that you'll need for the entire season. I called them last year. They came, they only charged me a $10 delivery fee. The soil was so much cheaper than what it was at Home Depot. Plus, I did not have to lug it out of my truck and drag it to the backyard. They did all of that for me, put it on a tarp, and it lasts the entire year. So cheap. So definitely call up your local landscape company, your local garden center. And while you're at it, they also have lots of pots and lots of tools. They will also donate to you for free as well. I have borrowed pots from my local garden center and just ask, because I'm there all the time anyways, and say, hey, I'm out of pots. Can I borrow some and bring them back? And you will be surprised what a friendly smile will get you at your local garden center. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yes. I think you were there when I went to Garland's and borrowed a pot, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
That's right. Okay, go to two more slides down. There we are. So now we're going to talk about storing. So if you are bougie, you have a root cellar that you use to store your garlic, your onions, your potatoes.
Yeah.
But we're not bougie here, so we have a basement or a crawl space, or a pantry that you can use to store them. So don't think that I can't grow garlic because it's going to go bad. I don't have anywhere to put it. That is not true. Our garlic has lasted 8 years in our basement just fine. Same thing with our potatoes, same thing with our onions. Mulch is a waste of money. So you can go to your garden center, go to Home Depot and purchase mulch. Or like we did the other day when we realized that our strawberries were going to freeze. What do we use instead of mulch? You remember?
No, I do not.
Off the deck. What do we pick up and use instead of mulch? Leaves. Do you remember we picked up leaves and we put it in the green stalk?
Oh, yes.
Yes. And so instead of mulch, don't be afraid to get creative. You can use leaves, you can use grass clippings, anything that will insulate that plant from the cold and protect it from overwatering or from drying out. And that's what mulch does. It's like a multi-purpose. Leaves do the exact same thing. Straw, pine needles, the pine needles that just shed in the winter and in the fall, those do the exact same thing that mulch does. So absolutely no reason for you to go to the store to buy mulch for your garden beds. And then the last thing, do not toss out, after you've spent all your time growing those beautiful tomatoes and cucumbers, at the end of the season, it's getting cold, do not toss out those fruits and vegetables. You save them. Let me show you what you do. I can use some aluminum foil here. Yeah, I'll take a little bit. Okay, so what you do, is you just scoop out the seeds. And you see this? So this is a little gelatinous stuff that's used to protect the seeds. And a fun fact, the reason that this is around is because a tomato wants their seed to go far. So they want their seed to live inside of the birds that eat it and to go far and to scatter. So what you do is you put this inside of a mason jar with a little bit of water. You let it ferment for a few days. Then you rinse off the seeds. And then you dry out the seeds and store them in a dry location until next year. And it's that simple. And every seed that you grow from every fruit that you have grown can be dried and stored until next year. So there's absolutely no reason for you to buy more than one seed, more than one container of seeds, packet of seeds, ever for a variety of a fruit or vegetable that you like. So I hope that's helpful to you guys. I think the next slide is for questions and comments.
I am giving you a round of applause. There we go. Listen. Oh,
Will it
Malcolm
help?
says, I do not have a green thumb. Give us some tips for people who need a boost of confidence.
So, what I would say, if you do not have a green thumb, you got to start small. So, what I would start with, if you want to start with a house plant, start with your ZZ plant. A ZZ plant and a snake plant are almost impossible to kill. Almost impossible to kill. Almost impossible. Do not prove me wrong. So those are some great plants that you can get just to get your feet up under you to kind of build that confidence. But then as far as growing fruits, tomatoes are so easy to grow, and the seeds are super cheap that they're a great plant and they're forgiving. You don't have to fertilize them a lot. Anything you do is just extra. They're just happy to be here. So I would say a ZZ plant as a house plant, and a tomato is a great fruit for you to. And a tomato is a fruit. It's a great fruit for you to start with.
What would be a good starter vegetable and herb?
I love a cucumber. I think cucumbers. We've done lots of cucumbers. They're really easy, and I try to go for what cost me the most at the supermarket. That's what I try to grow, right? And what I would say too is definitely try to grow things that you like to eat, because I don't like to eat potatoes a lot. So it wasn't really exciting for me to grow to grow a potato, but I love to eat tomatoes a lot. I love to eat cucumbers a lot. I love to eat Brussels sprouts a lot. So those either she does not. So that's what I love to grow, because you have more passion to go out there and check it. And like even when you grow just that one plant, you will be so excited that you made that happen. And just the act of you tending to that plant and harvesting that plant and cooking and eating that plant will be a lot more meaningful because it's something that you actually like to eat.
Now I know you showed us your don't make me lie, green something, the towers that you said was
My
on
green
CP.
stalk, yes.
So for what is your thoughts or feelings on like indoor gardening towers where you can, grow inside versus outside?
I have not had, and I think it's because I don't have a lot of light inside. I don't have a lot of sunny windows inside, so I have not had a lot of luck growing herbs and vegetables inside. I will even kill a house plant because I don't have a lot of light. That's why I recommend the ZZ plant that doesn't need a lot of light. So I do most of my gardening outside. But what I love about the green stalk is it takes up so little space. I mean, there are 72 pockets on there. And what I love about the Dollar Tree one, even more than that, is you can just keep stacking that thing up. Right. And so it's really, really great. And you can spin it around and make sure it gets the right amount of sun. So it is really, really easy. And to answer your other question, you were asking me about herbs. I love growing basil. I've had great luck with herbs. I grow basil. And let me tell you, if you like roasted chicken, there's nothing like seasoning your chicken and seasoning your marinara sauce with your own herbs. So I grow sage, I grow oregano, I grow thyme, I grow basil, and they come back here. The basil does not, but the thyme, the oregano, the sage, they come back year after year. And the rosemary year after year. So you literally plant them once and you have them forever. I mean, the amount of money that you can save by growing your own herbs is crazy.
And then my last question, and Jasmine says she needs this information because she got to study it, but she's going to check into the green stalk.
Yes,
Very good.
The dollar version, the Dollar Tree version, for real.
My last question I had was for anybody who's tuned in that does not have a dedicated outdoor space. Do you have, would the Dollar Tree version be the
That would be
suggestion,
it.
or what accommodations can be made?
Yep. So definitely a green stalk or the Dollar Tree version is great. Also, really inexpensive. You can go to YouTube. There's so many videos, and I think the links that I provided at the end. Do you see those links? If we could share those, that would be great as well. But go to YouTube and you'll see the plant holders that you can suction cup to your window to grow your herbs there as well. So those are great also, because all herbs need is a sunny spot.
Okay, I have one more question. I know I keep saying last question,
Yeah, go
last
on.
question. And this might be something that I just need to Google, because I'm sure this varies by plant, or, depending on what it is you're planting. But what is like a realistic timeline? Like, I am so impatient. If I want to go out, I know you said you don't like potatoes, but when you mentioned tomatoes, I instantly thought about potatoes, because I'm the
Yes.
opposite. I love the potatoes.
Yes.
So what is like a typical timeline for name a random, name something
Yes.
random and tell me how long it takes?
So I would say that usually between 35 to 45 days is usually how long it takes. So it's not super long at all. If you want to do like the microgreens and things like that, those will come up even faster. And I should have brought some garlic with me. But let me tell you, if you like garlic also, that's another one. So do you know that I bought 4 garlic bulbs and I got 100 garlic bulbs out of that? Because what you do with garlic is that you take off the individual sets and you plant those, and you get a bulb of garlic from each one of those. And so like here in Georgia, we plant those in November, and then around June, July, they'll start popping up, and it's so much fun to go digging those up. So you'll dig up your onions, your potatoes, and your garlic around the same time. You just have a field day out there. And the same thing with a potato. So I know you love potatoes. Those do take longer, but the harvest is so worth it, because what you'll do is you'll cut the potato. You see where the eye is on a potato that is getting old. Do not throw those away. You just cut that and you plant that. You'll get you an entire potato plant, and potatoes will grow from that one little eye. So it's literally so amazing how much money. I mean, you don't even have to garden on a budget to save a lot of money. But if you do garden on a budget, you'll save even more money. But it literally is the gift that keeps on giving. Yes.
I love it. And I'm even thinking beyond, I'm always going down the rabbit holes with just like what we put on our skin and our hair. And, aside from just what we are ingesting. And so I'm even thinking about, when you mentioned garlic, I had attempted to make like homemade cough syrup. I'm thinking about different things that we can use these herbs for besides just dinner. So my wheels are spinning over here. This was such
Exactly. And I'm sure you know too that, when you get sick, you may reach for cough medicine or whatever, but nothing is like that cup of tea, right? Nothing is like that cup of tea when you feel a cold coming on. But I will tell you, nothing is like that cup of mint tea when you have mint that you're growing. And mint is another one of those that you grow one time and it will spread. And so make sure you grow it in a pot, because it will spread all over your yard. But there's nothing like the chamomile tea from the chamomile that you're growing, the mint tea or the lavender tea from the lavender that you're growing. So it's such a rewarding experience. That's why I love it so much. I love it because it's therapeutic. There's nothing like going out there early in the morning, just you and God checking in on your plant. I don't think it's a coincidence that life began in a garden. There's nothing like getting your hands in the dirt. I mean, it makes you physically fit. It's good for your joints, bending down, tending to those plants is good. It's your quiet time. I wrote down some other things. It's cheap. I mean, it's like cheap exercise, right? And it's just rewarding, and just to have that alone time first thing in the morning, I think is awesome. And then that's not to mention all the things that we've talked about, the amazing harvest of the fruits, the vegetables, the herbs that you get, being out there in nature, the fresh air that you get. It's just awesome. So I encourage you guys just to try it a little bit. just to get going, and you'll just be amazed at how it's becoming addictive in a good
I
way.
That's another rabbit hole is the tea because I'm sipping on
Yes,
tea all day. It's like, how can I be growing my own?
there
Yes,
you
yes.
go.
Really being able to sustain ourselves so that, God forbid anything happens, we could literally go into the backyard and have access to what we need. Adria, this has been such great information, and I love how interactive the session was. Shout out to baby girl for joining you. Thank
Yes,
you, Alex, for being a great sous chef. You were amazing, and I know that everybody tuned in has truly enjoyed this. So your social is down below. Do you have any other info, website, anything else that we can support that you'd like to share?
absolutely. You guys can find me on adrianmarshall.com. I do mentorship because my passion is in gardening and in curly hair. I do curl consultations as well as entrepreneurship training. So anything you guys need, just reach out.
I love it. And that's another kind of lane also is if you get good at this, who knows what type of formulations you can start whipping up for skincare,
Yes.
for hair care, for, all of the things. So thank you so much for introducing this conversation to our community who is often left out of these conversations. And really, this is our roots. We just got to go back to where we started, but we got separated. So thank you so much for being here and for presenting on such a fabulous topic.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Bomb.com per usual. Y'all know how we do. And if you are new here, welcome. Okay. It is always my goal to bring you innovative information and conversations that can help move the culture forward. We are right back here, same place, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow as Thrive 2025 wraps up with day 3. Our day 3 conversations center around finances. So if you want to find out how you can start or grow your family business, this is the place to be. Now, before we have our fabulous finale, which is on building a Black family business, we got to get into resolving conflict because, baby, we got to learn how to communicate, especially if we're going to try to start a thriving family business. So I will see y'all right back here tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern. If you happen to be a stressed out mama living in ATL, or you happen to know a stressed out mama who could use a staycation, make sure you nominate her or yourself today for our Sleepy Mom Staycation. And if you want to learn more or donate, log on to thecurefortheculture.com. I am Coriel, founder and executive director, and I will see y'all tomorrow for Thrive 2025.